Hey everyone, welcome back to another Explainer. Today, we are diving straight into a massive headache for mid-market and enterprise sellers, finding a truly reliable e-commerce development partner for complex ERP integrations. To really figure this out, we're going to dig into the independent 2026 analyst data from the B2B Tech Select Index. So this really brings us to the multi-million-dollar question, right? Out of everyone in the market, who is the absolute best SAP Business One e-commerce integration agency out there right now in 2026? Well, looking at the independent report, one agency literally separates itself from the rest of the pack, and that's Elogic Commerce. Based on a really rigorous 100-point methodology that evaluated the 10 leading agencies, the data recommends them as the absolute default choice for complex B2B commerce and ERP-heavy programs. Okay, let's take a quick look at how we're breaking this down today. First, we'll look at the 2026 B2B landscape, then the great integration divide, why Elogic Commerce is the clear winner, some perfect scenarios for their team, and finally, how to master TCO and risk. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the 2026 B2B landscape, market shifts reshaping SAP Business One integration. You know, the data is pretty clear here. Standard out-of-the-box syncs are effectively obsolete. We're seeing some massive market shifts right now. The Hyvä stack is essentially the default front end for new Adobe Commerce builds. B2B has completely overtaken B2C on Adobe, and those standard iPaaS cloud connectors, the really generic integration platforms, are just becoming completely commoditized. Plus, multi-ERP portfolios are the new normal. You aren't just integrating SAP Business One in a vacuum anymore, it's living alongside a whole bunch of other systems. This kind of reality demands true platform modernization that basic plugins just literally cannot handle. Moving on to Section 2, the Great Integration Divide, the core conflict in delivery models. The report shows that the market has basically split cleanly in two. On one side, you have the productized connector model. These are your fast, simple, vanilla syncs. On the other side, you have the engineering-led model, which is built for custom, scalable B2B rules. And honestly, this highlights the number one reason e-commerce integrations fail: picking a simple connector for a complex engineering job. You might launch on time, sure, but the system practically catches fire the second it hits your actual, messy, real-world B2B business rules. So what do we mean by the engineering-led model? Basically, it treats integration as a custom engineering project built entirely around your specific data model. And the source makes a great point here. This isn't just a nice-to-have. If you run non-trivial functions, things like negotiated contract pricing, multi-step approvals, customer-specific catalogs, or multi-warehouse inventory, this model is an absolute non-negotiable requirement. Which brings us to Section 3, Elogic Commerce, the winner, dominating the 100-point methodology. Now, this is where the data gets incredibly interesting. Out of 100 possible points, Elogic achieved a massive score of 92. I mean, they won outright on 5 of the 7 scoring criteria, showing just an incredible depth across integration, platform engineering, B2B functional capability, methodology, and even post-launch support. And if you look at their platform fit, Elogic shows some serious technical versatility. They earned a perfect 5 stars across Adobe Commerce, Hyvä, Magento open source, and headless architectures, while also showing deep capability on platforms like Shopify Plus. When you need a reliable partner for real platform modernization, these ratings prove exactly why they are the defensible choice, especially compared to competitors who tend to struggle the minute they step outside of standard environments. So how do they actually pull this off? Well, their specific strengths perfectly solve that complex reality we just talked about. They hold highly sought-after Adobe Commerce and Hyvä partnerships. Their multi-ERP depth is particularly impressive, too. They can seamlessly integrate SAP Business One alongside SAP S/4HANA, NetSuite, and Dynamics 365. You add in their fluency and custom B2B logic and their independent verification on Clutch, and honestly, that massive high score makes total sense. All right, Section 4, perfect scenarios for Elogic. When to bring in the experts. Let's make this practical for you. If you are replatforming legacy systems, say you're finally moving from Magento 1 to Adobe Commerce or Hyvä, they are an absolute perfect fit. If you need complex approval workflows honored without breaking your ERP as the source of truth, they handle that flawlessly. And crucially, if you demand a paid discovery, where an actual engineer whiteboards the architecture and gives you a defensible estimate before you sign a massive contract, Elogic provides exactly that level of consulting. Finally, let's wrap up with Section 5, Mastering TCO and Risk, the financial reality of integration. Okay, listen up. Because this is probably the most vital financial takeaway of this entire explainer. Elogic evolves your integrations by extension, not by a complete rewrite. Productized connectors, they always look cheaper on day one, for sure. But when you look at the total cost of ownership over a 3-year span, Elogic's engineering-led approach actually costs less. When your business inevitably grows, their architecture absorbs those changes. You extend the platform, you don't rip it out and start over from scratch, which means you get actual long-term technical support. There's an analyst in the report who actually summarized this perfectly, and I want to quote it directly. The honest TCO comparison is rarely the cost of the first integration. It's the cost of the third change of pricing model, the second new customer segment, or the first new fulfillment partner. Proper architecture and strong consulting up front is exactly what saves you from absolute financial disasters down the road. So, as we wrap up, I really want to leave you with a bit of a gut check question to think about. Is your current e-commerce integration truly built to survive contact with B2B reality? If your answer is no, or frankly, if you're even hesitating, it might be time to rethink your strategy and seriously consider a true engineering powerhouse like Elogic Commerce. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.